Hi folks, welcome to this video where I'm going to be taking you through all the features of pIX one by one. Now, the way I propose to do it is to just go through the main toolbar and just work my way down through all the buttons, explaining all the features that are available underneath each button. Okay, so let's just start with the main toolbar, and if you want to move it around your screen, you just grab up here on the logo and you can move the whole main toolbar. Okay, next we come to the on-off button, which of course speaks for itself. But just by way of explanation, when the app is off, then of course we can interact in a normal way with our desktop. And if we have applications open, we can do whatever we like. And the toolbar is just sitting here with everything grayed out. Although actually the close button does work. If you want to just immediately close it, you can close right here. Okay. Now, when I turn the app on, just to explain what happens, actually a screenshot gets taken of your entire screen. So although it looks like we have still our desktop here, we can't interact with anything. There's nothing to click on. If we had applications open, we can't interact with them. So that's a little bit conceptually maybe strange, but that's basically what it is. It's a screenshot. I mean, imagine if we had it off and we had a YouTube video playing in the background. The moment we put it on, you would see the video freeze. So it's basically just, a screenshot. Okay. Let's go to the pause button next down. That's a sort of halfway house on off. And what it does, if I draw a box here and then a ruler down here, if I hit pause, now the app again is turned off and we can't interact with it, but whatever boxes we had on the screen are actually saved or overlaid. So now you can see I can interact with my screen. If I had an application open, I could work with the app. And all these toolbars are, on the actual app itself, are not functional. What I can actually do is I can hide the toolbars like this, and then put it back into pause. So now all we have is the box here we drew and the ruler, but the app itself is off. So this can be quite useful if you need to measure something, but then you need to also change something. So that's the pause button. Going to do a reset, which you can do Control Shift and then click on the folder button there and you get a full reset. Okay, and there is a sort of third feature which I guess you could be grouped together with these functions, and that is this button down here, this dash. And what that does, if I draw a box like this, now normally I could draw another box, but if I click on this dash button, that prevents me drawing any more boxes or rulers or frames or anything. I can't draw anything else. I can still interact with my app. I can do whatever I like. This is just a nice feature just to stop you drawing things accidentally when you don't want to, because maybe when you're grabbing the toolbars, the buttons, you may accidentally draw a box. And if you know you don't need to draw anymore, you just turn this on and you disable that. Let's do a full reset again. Okay, so next, let's talk about the box button. And we're actually going to spend the most time talking about this button because there are quite a lot of features which are common to also the ruler, the group, and the frame buttons. So let's start right here. We have a cogwheel button, which is also available on the ruler, the group, and the frame. And when we click on it, let me just zoom in here. When we click on it, we get a swatch opening up, and we can change the color. And you can see that the color that you change here is seen here on the box as well. So I go back and then you can see that we have the color also here at the top. Okay, so let's draw out a box. Actually, let's change the color back to, what was it, red, I think. Okay. So if I draw out a box, now the first thing to say is that if I was to try and draw another box, the box we just drew is gone. We've lost it. So the first thing you need to do is you need to just click save right there. And now you know that if you close it, or if you draw another box rather, then this one doesn't disappear. Right. Let's go down to the bottom and work our way along this bottom toolbar. Okay, so this is the move button. I can grab here and I can move the box around, but I can actually also grab here, move it, and grab on empty space in the bottom toolbar and move it. What this button does is, when it's on, I can also grab anywhere in the middle and move it around. Whereas if it's off, then grabbing in the middle will actually draw another box. So that's what the hand icon does. Sometimes you just want to be able to move it by grabbing anywhere in the middle. Okay, next, and let me just move this over here, and let's resize this and change the color to something which is really visible, which is white. Here we have the ruler bar, and if I turn it on, then you can see we immediately get a pixel ruler. So this should be a pixel perfect representation of the pixels on your screen. Now there's lots of settings you can change with the ruler, and to get to that you just click and hold on the ruler button. And I'm just going to explain now what all these buttons here do. So we have three choices of markings. We have long, we have medium, and we have short. And we can actually choose the length of each one. So let's say we want to have the long one this long, and the medium one this long, and the short one this long. And we can choose what number it is. So we've got long one is now 100. We could make it 50. We can make it 20. You know, some settings just don't make sense and it gets messy like this, but it's just very customizable and you can set whatever you like. Okay, let's just get these shorter, and let's just say we have it like this. Okay, what we can actually have, if we like, is customizable markings. So like now we've got hundreds, but we could actually turn this off and we could put in here 70, and then it will give us every 70th pixel a number. So it's very customizable. Here, this button turns on and off the actual number marking, and here we have the size of the number. So you can really customize it how you like. Let's just put this back to say 100. And then the last thing at the bottom here, we have the anchor. So at the moment, the ruler starts at the top left and works its way from there to 100, 200, and also down. We could also do it from the bottom right. And then we have the ruler starting down here, or we could start it from the top right, up here, or bottom left. So it's very, very customizable, the ruler. Okay, so let us close that, and I'm going to do a full reset. Control Shift right there. Let's draw out another box, and again, make it nice and visible. So the next button we have here is the symmetry button, okay, because I can, as you can see, grab on the corners, and I can move the box here. I can grab on the sides, move it here, and also we have arrows, so we can just... the reason that's moving the whole box is because of this button is on here. Turn this off. Now it moves just the sides, and if this hand button is on, then it moves the whole box. Okay, so we can move here like this, or like this. Now what the symmetry button does when I turn it on is it will make the transformation symmetrically, like this, or like this, or the corner. So that can be quite useful when you just want to symmetrically change. And like a lot of applications, if I grab the corner and I hold shift, then it constrains the shape. So if I don't do shift, you can change the shape randomly like this. If I hold shift and drag, then it constrains it to whatever shape you have, a square, a rectangle, whatever. So that's the symmetry button. Okay, next we have the color swatch, which you already saw me use a couple of times. So you just click and hold, or just click one time actually, and you can change the color of the box. We also have to the right of that, we have the stroke width. So we can go right down to 1 pixel right here, and up to 10. And we also have right here, we can add a fill all the way up to fully filled, like this. This is like solid, and all the way down to completely transparent. Okay. Next, we have the snapshot button, which is pretty cool. What it does basically is it takes a snapshot of it takes it like a picture of what's inside the box. So I can now grab it and move it around. I can zoom in, and we can really zoom into, pixel level, and pan it around, and we can also move it around our screen. We can resize our box, and you'll see that when I clicked it on, you'll see that we get some extra buttons here. So normally when you resize it here, you're actually resizing it. Whereas if I press this C button, now we can crop it. So now we're cropping our snapshots. And by default, this button here is on. So then it's panning, but when I turn it off, then again, we can now draw new boxes inside. Okay. Let's just do a full reset. Let's draw a new one. Let's just draw one right here. Okay. So we're going to take a snapshot. Now imagine we just want to play around with moving this word around the screen. So we want to maybe decide we want to have it, what does it look like if we have it over here for some reason? Now, the problem is that we moved it, but the original is still there, which makes it a little bit hard to decide if this is like a good new movement or design or whatever. So down here, we have this button here, which is the fill holes button. And when I click it, that basically will fill the hole, which we left here, with whatever color I now, if I click here, I get a color picker. I can now click on the background, and you can see that it's filled this hole which we made with the color in here, which we took from the background. So that's very, very handy. Okay, next we have got these buttons here, and these are the sort of location memory buttons. So if I now click this one, again, we get some new buttons, which I'll come to in a second. And we've now basically memorized the location of the first box. I can now move it over here, click the second button, and we now have 2 locations memorized. Okay, and 2 boxes. Now maybe we decide we want to change it. We say, well, okay, this has to be different. We need to change it. So I hit the edit button. I can change the color. Let's just change the width of the stroke and change something and change the location and hit edit again. And now second location, first location. So we can always edit the either location. This button I'm going to come back to later, and also this button is for later in the tutorial. Let us do another reset. All right. Okay, now we come to the magnify button over here. Now, what happens, let me just move the box, say here. Let's imagine that I want to, wait, let's do it differently. Let's say that I want to very accurately draw a box around this element here. Now, I can start to do it like this, but we can't really see what we're doing. So we have the magnify button here. I click it, and now I can drag over this corner, and we get a magnified view up in our screen right here. Let's put it over here. Let's put this over here. Now, when I grab the corner in the magnifier, you can see down here that we can see what movement we're doing. We can very accurately, even with the arrow keys on our keyboard, just place it exactly how we want. We can use the scroll wheel on the mouse to just zoom out and then zoom back in again. And you see that the magnifier window flashes. That's just to indicate that we're in a magnifier window. And then we have these buttons here where we can just turn off the magnifier. And now you see that we have our box perfectly perfectly drawn around this element. So do reset, draw another box, save. Okay, next we have the I button. Basically what that does is it just hides the interface. So you don't always want to see these toolbars. So you can just hide them. And when you hover over the top or the bottom, you can see the toolbars again. And then if you just click on the button, then they persist again. Okay. You may not want that, that behavior of them coming back when you hover over. So there's another way to turn off the toolbars, which is more sort of permanent. If I go to the Layouts tab here, you can see that I've got a button here on the thumbnail, which represents the toolbars. And I can just turn that off here. And now you see that even when I hover over, we don't get the toolbars. The only way to get them back would be to go back over here and to turn them on. And we also can turn them all the toolbars off. This is like a global toolbar in the Layouts panel, which we'll come to later. So we turn them all off. We can hide this, and then we only see what we want, which is the box. Okay, reset. Okay, we're almost done with the bottom toolbar. We have the lock button here. I guess that speaks for itself. You can't, once you lock it, you can't change anything. You can hide the toolbars, but you can't resize anything. You can't change any settings. Nothing can be changed here. We have the save button, which I already covered, I think, a little bit. You just basically save it, means it stays. Whereas if you don't save, you draw another one, the old one is gone. And lastly, we have the trash can, which is, just another way of deleting, getting rid of what you have before you saved it. Whereas when you save it, then you can no longer delete it. You can close it here, but if you actually want to delete it, you go to the Layouts panel and you've got a delete button right here. Okay. And then going to the top, we have the pixel measurement. So this shows the size of our box. And what's quite cool, if I don't make this white, close this. And then if I go up to if you watch up here, the measurements, you can see that when I go up into the top of the screen, oh, this is something, sorry, also to mention, is that when you go up to the top of the screen where your top toolbar will be clipping, it just switches to the bottom. And the same with here, if I was to go to the bottom of the screen, the bottom toolbar flips to the top. Okay, so if I now grab this box and move it up into the top left-hand corner, and watch now down here, these numbers, as I push it more into the corner, you can see that rather than the box disappearing off screen and clipping, it just resizes it. So we always stay in the top corner here, which is quite useful. And that works also anywhere on the screen, you can see. Okay, here we can give it a name. But what we can also do, which is pretty cool, is we just do this box here. And you can see over here we have the image to text button. So you can see that inside the box we have the word design. If I click that, it will just, we've got an algorithm which will just look, what is the text inside, and it just puts it in here, which is quite nice. And the last feature on the toolbar is this button here, which basically disconnects our toolbars from the box, because sometimes when you've got a few different boxes, it can be a little bit annoying to have the toolbar there. So you just click this, it flips up to the top, and now you can move the toolbar separately. You can move this separately. You can resize separately. So you might just have all your boxes over here and your toolbars over here. Okay, so that covers it for the box button. Okay, next, let's talk about the ruler right here. So we click on that, and then we can drag and draw a ruler. We can draw a horizontal ruler, or we could draw a vertical ruler like this. So a lot of these buttons have the same functions. So the hand button is the same. The symmetry button does the same thing. It will let us do symmetrical changes. Color, stroke, fill actually doesn't work for the ruler. I need to take that off. And snapshot. I mean, snapshot does work for the ruler, although it doesn't make as much sense as with a box, but it does still work if you want to use that. But the main difference for the ruler is this button here, which when we click it, that means that we can now move our ruler to a diagonal position. And if we put on symmetry, we can move it around like this. Same thing for the toolbars, they'll snap to the top or the bottom depending on where you are on the screen. And look, even the ruler will restrict or constrain to the screen. Okay, let's just do a quick reset. Now, whoops, let's do a ruler, of course. Now, just then I drew the ruler from left to right, and you can see that the ruler markings go from left to right. So starting here from 0. If I click and hold on the ruler button, then we get these. These are all the same, but as the box, which I showed you already. But here we have a setting here, which is telling us whether we want to have the marking start from the start or the finish. So I started here, so it's there. If I press finish, then it will actually start the ruler marking from 0 from the finish point that I drew from. So that's how that works. You can close that up. So this is all exactly the same. We click on here, and then we click on here, and we get 2 different locations for the ruler. The edit works the same, and all these functions work the same, as well as the functions up here. And of course, we don't have a text button because a ruler doesn't have a text. A ruler can't have text inside it. Yeah, so that covers it for the ruler. Okay, next, let's talk about group. Let's just change the color to be a little bit more visible on this dark background. So what I'm going to do is draw out a group here and save it. Now what a group does basically is it will group together any other shape that you draw while the group is open. So if I now grab a box here and draw it out, okay, normally with a box when you draw it, you get a save button here, but this is actually automatically saved because the group is open. So this box is automatically saved as part of this group. And I can show that by just closing this and then opening it up again. And you can see I open up this group and the box which we drew inside it is automatically saved. It doesn't even actually have to be inside. Look, I can even draw a box over here, which is not even inside the group. If I close it and then reopen it, there it is. Whereas when I close it, I draw a box, then we have a save button. So you can see this would not be part of that group. Okay, and we can actually even draw or create a group inside a group. It could be nested, or we could even have a frame inside of the group. So let's just get rid of all that. So apart from that feature or that function, that is basically the difference with a group. Everything else is the same. You've got all the same color stuff, symmetry, snapshots works. These buttons work all the same. There's actually no other difference with a group, but it has some real functionality, which I will come to a little bit later from why you would need to have a group. Okay, and now let's talk about frame. So a frame is basically, it's kind of like a group, but a much weaker group. So if I draw this frame up here, and then I draw a box and another box, you'll see later on that we can actually use the frame as a reference. So we'll be able to make a measurement, and as long as the boxes or the rulers are inside the frame, then we will be able to create measurements to say this box is placed here and this box is placed here, and that will be with reference to the position of the frame. And of course, the frame doesn't have to be up in the top corner like I just drew it. The frame could be down here. So if I was to have the frame here and then to draw a box here, this box would be, what is it? It's like 45, or let's just say 45 by 45 pixels. And its location would be roughly also about 40 by 40, because it's referencing from the position of the frame and not the actual position on the screen. So that's where frames are useful. And you'll again later on see with a bit more explanation why this is useful. So now we come to one of the most important and useful functions of pIX, which is the way it deals with measurements and coordinates. Okay, so I'm going to start showing this off by just drawing out a box. And I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to hit the location 1 and then the pencil button. Now you see here we get a pop-up box, and what this pop-up box is telling us is the dimensions of the box, which is mirrored here and here, and its location. And its location is basically being taken from the top left-hand corner of the screen, right here. Okay, and we have various formats. We have simple, CSS, Canvas, SVG, and Figma. And over here on the right, we have a copy button, which will take a picture of what's inside the box and copy it to your clipboard, or you can also just save it straight to disk by clicking on this button. And also we have a copy button right here, which will just copy all this text to your clipboard. Okay. But we don't necessarily always want to measure from the top left-hand corner of the frame, of the screen. And that's where a frame comes in. So if I draw a frame here, like this, and save it, and then I draw a box right here, and save that, and let's just click on its location and then its clipboard, and let's have a look at the information. So the dimensions of the box are correct. It's what we have here. But if you look at the location, these are not the coordinates of the top left corner of the box from the top left corner of the screen. It's actually the measurement or the coordinates from the top corner of the frame right here, you see? So if I was to close this and then move the box a little bit, and then let's just redo this one like this, and then have another look. Now we have a different set of coordinates. So it's again from this top left-hand corner. Okay, and the same thing works for a ruler. We save it. Its length is 587, and which you see right here, 587, and this is its location from the top left-hand corner. Okay, so that will work with any box that is drawn when we have a frame. Okay. But of course, what we're doing is every time we're only getting the information about that one box or that one ruler. So we have another way to deal with it, which is where a group comes in. And if I now draw a group, save it. And remember that every box we draw doesn't need to be saved. It's automatically saved when you're inside a group. Okay, and now on the group itself, we go to its location button, and then we click this. And here now we will get a list of, we get all the thumbnails, or the screenshots of inside each box. And then we have here the size of the group, and then we have we have a list of all the children objects with their dimensions and also their location or their coordinates from the top left-hand corner of the group right here. So then, yeah, for an example of how this is useful, and this is one of the main actual use cases of pIX, you should check out the introduction video where I go through a couple of examples of using it to very accurately relocate some items on an HTML page using Claude, where I put these coordinates in, and they are moved with pixel perfect accuracy to new locations. So yeah, check the introduction video for a more extended look at that. This is just going through the basic features of how it works. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for that. The only other thing to mention is that, let me just draw one more box, is that apart from the editor here, we also just have a simple copy button here. So if you just hit this button here, that will copy the information about the box to the clipboard, and you can immediately paste it wherever you need to without going through this box right here. All right, next, let's talk about the Layouts tab. So we're going to draw a box over here, and we're going to save it, and then click Layouts. And then here we will see every saved box or ruler. So if I was to now draw another box, we don't see it here until we hit the Save button. And then it appears there. And we can also see the fill that we have, although not the stroke, because the stroke doesn't really make sense in a small thumbnail. Okay, we can also resize like this, and we get a scroll bar if we're off screen. Okay. So let's look at, let's just move these over here. Okay. Now let's just reset. Let's reset. Okay. Okay, let's just go through what we have on the thumbnail. We have the pixel size up here. We have the name, and we have visibility. So we can just turn it off, on and off here. We also have a toolbar button here. And if we were to have more boxes, let's just draw another one. Then we have global visibility for toolbars down here, and also just global visibility right here. Okay, we can also delete thumbnails. Let's just delete this one here. And we have one other button here, which I will explain if we go to, let's just turn off toolbar back on. So imagine we make a snapshot of this, and then we move this one, I don't know, over here. We also want to fill this hole, so we'll just do that by clicking here and then getting a color picker, and we fill it. Now, we may not necessarily want to, we want to see our moved object, but we don't want to see the toolbar. And we also maybe don't want to see the box around it either. So we can go to this button here and turn, this just is like a snapshot button. Basically, it means that we only see the snapshots without the box around it. And if we turn that off, well, then we do see the box, and we can also bring back our toolbars. Okay, let's talk about the collections panel right here. And that's where we can see our groups and our frames. Save this one. Right here. So yeah, frames and groups will always be listed in this group, in this collections tab. And frame has just got the word frame behind it, just so you can easily see what's a frame and what's a group. Although, of course, a group has also got a dashed line around it. Okay, let's just do a quick reset. So let's just draw a group right here. And then we're going to draw a box and another box. And remember, they don't need to be saved because they are children of this group. So we can close it and we can see it right here. So let's talk about these options in the toolbar of the thumbnail of a group. So we have the visibility. We have the toolbars, turns them on and off, or that keeps the toolbar of the group itself. And then we have the edit button. So let me explain what the edit button means. So let's move this group over here. And let's draw another group. Let's just change the color down here. Save it. And then let's draw a couple of boxes inside it. Okay, so now we have two groups, and only one is in edit mode. If I click this one to put this one in edit mode, now if I draw a new box, let's just change the color, blue. This box is now part of this group because we are here in edit mode. If I now switch to this edit mode on this group, and let's just draw a ruler, you can see that the ruler, you can't see it so well, but here it is in the thumbnail, and it's now part of this group right here. Also, we can take a snapshot, and then we keep the image inside. So, and also we have solo and mute buttons. So we can mute this group here, so we get rid of it, or we can solo it, which means we only see that group. And of course, that works for all the groups. Let's just do a reset and a frame, save it, and let's bring up on the collections panel. Yeah, frame, again, will have the same features. It's the solo and the mute and the turning off and on the toolbar for the frame and the visibility. So that covers it for the collections panel. Actually, no, one more thing I should mention. Let me just do a quick reset, is if we draw a box and save it, and then we draw a group and save it, you can see that we can open up the layouts panel and the collections panel together. And that's a little bug. I need to fix this, but you can see that at the top you will get the group panel, and underneath you'll get the layout panel. And then the group panel has got like a blue stroke around it, just indicates that they are both, well, they're different. This is the group and this is the layout panel, and turn them both off. And that covers the collections panel. Yep, that's it. Okay, and to wrap up this grand tour of pIX, let's just cover the last functions and buttons at the bottom of the main toolbar. So we have a close button here, which speaks for itself. It just closes the app. And then below that, we have the projects button. We press that and we get a tab popping out, and that lets us add projects and make different projects active. And we can set a name for a project and a save location. And all a project is basically a collection of all the groups, rulers, and boxes that you've created and saved. And they're completely independent. So I can have a complete set of boxes and things here, and then click here and have something completely different. And it's just a way so that you can have, if you're working with different things that you need to be screenshotting and measuring, totally different projects, you can just have them separated. And connected to that, under the settings tab here, we have a sort of master save location. And this is just basically like a backup. So you put a location in here, and then it will just make a backup of all your projects in one place. Okay. To the right, we have a tooltips button. So press that, toggle that on, and you get tooltips for everything. Also on our main, or on the toolbars of our boxes and rulers, we'll have pop-ups here, or tooltips which explain everything. So that's pretty useful for learning the app. Let's close that. Next, we have on the resets bar here, we have on, off, and pause, which we covered already. We also have here a test image, which if I turn it on, that's just a way of just checking that you're actually measuring the right number of pixels on your screen. So what I can do is I can just leave that on. Then I go back, I can draw a box here, and I can just move this out of the way, save it, and then let's just draw a magnifier over that. And now, if you watch the number here, you'll see that if I just zoom in, and let's just make this 1 pixel, like this, zoom in, you can see that we are getting a 1, or rather a 30 by 30 pixel box, which is exactly what this is. So it's just a way to do a little test. At the moment, we've only got a 1920 1080 test image here. I will put a 4K one on there as well. So if you buy the app, you'll see a 4K version here. We already covered this button here, which is just a way to stop drawing other boxes. So you draw, I covered this already, but just quickly in case somebody missed it. If I press this on, I can interrupt my box and the toolbar, but I can't draw any more boxes when this one is sort of, it's like a safety button. And then at the end, we have our undo and redo buttons. Okay, so this wraps up this grand tour of pIX and all its features. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any feature requests or if you find any bugs, just feel free to email me and I will do my best to take care of it. And with that, I wish you all a very fine day and see you later.